Good afternoon, ladies. It's Kristen. Just wanted to pop in and do a little video for you this week. And it's chilly here. I'm wearing a sweater, even though it's just the beginning of September. We've had a little bit of a sudden weather change, but it's been nice. I think fall is always one of my favorite times of the year and a great time for starting new things with the change of the season. So whether that's your new things in your business or just starting new things in your life, starting new patterns or new habits, like it's a great time for that. And we also get to see as like in nature, seeing that kind of the cycles that everything goes through. So losing the leaves and then, kind of having winters this time where everything's just kind of still and quiet. And then once again, having spring and everything bloom. And I think we can relate that a lot to our own lives too. So if anyone pops on, let me know who you are, say hi. And as I'm going, let me know if you have any questions too. But today what I'm going to be talking about is overwhelm, because it is something I know very well, and I know it's something that a lot of new entrepreneurs deal with when they're starting their business. It was actually probably one of the most paralyzing things for me when I was getting started, and a lot of times what I would explain as far as what I was dealing with was overwhelm, and just overwhelm, like what do you do? And when this happens, like what I find for me, like sometimes we go into two different things. Either we go into analysis paralysis, which is a lot of times what I would do, where I would just be like, deer in headlights, not knowing what to do, not really moving forward with anything, just kind of staying stuck and stalled. And the other thing that people do is kind of run around like a chicken with their head cut off and just doing like a bunch of random shit, but not really knowing how any of it is going to fit together or really work out to help them reach their goals, if they even have set goals. So overwhelm is just kind of like that overwhelming, feeling of not knowing really what to do. And, it's something I hear a lot from people, because starting a business is totally new. You shouldn't be expected to know what to do, because no one just like intuitively knows what to do to start a business. Like there's a lot to learn. And so a lot of people too think that I should know how to do it on my own, or hear from their spouse or family members or whatever, like, just go and do it, go give it a try and see what happens. And, it doesn't really work like that. Like all of us need support and mentors to help us with starting a business. It doesn't matter what type of business you're starting. Like it's a lot of new stuff to learn, and it's overwhelming, or it can be overwhelming if you don't really know what steps to take. So don't feel alone in that. And if you're feeling that, know like there's things that you can do to change that so that you don't continue to just feel this overwhelm. And it's been interesting for me, because I've also realized that this feeling of overwhelm was one of the big things that when I used to really be caught up in my eating disorder and emotional eating stuff, that overwhelm was one of the things that really would drive that behavior, because it's an uncomfortable feeling. So a lot of times, like, we want it to go away as soon as we're feeling it. And so that's when we start doing things like emotionally eating, or one of the biggest ones for those of us who are entrepreneurs and have online businesses is distracting ourselves with social media. So surfing Facebook, like checking Instagram all the time, or your email 5,000 times, those types of things. And which leads us into like comparison and like all this stuff. And a lot of times when you do that, you end up just feeling worse, kind of like the same as if you emotionally eat. Like it distracts you for a little bit, but then you end up feeling worse. So what can we do when we're feeling this overwhelm to do things differently and change that, so that it isn't something that we're having to deal with all the time? Because you don't have to start your business and feel completely overwhelmed. Yes, it's going to be new. Like, yes, it's going to be a little scary, but not where it's like feeling this ickiness, because overwhelm can be like an icky feeling. So I want to go through just some things that you can change to help you get out of this overwhelm. So I've got a few steps and just, how you might be doing it now versus how you can change things. So number one, I think this is the biggest thing for feeling overwhelmed in our business and in all areas of our life, is not being totally present with whatever it is that you're doing. So this has been such a big lesson in my business and something that I continue to learn. But for a lot of us, when we're working on something or doing something, we're thinking about something else that we feel like we should be doing. Yes, Jen, she is agreeing with this too. And I know this happens to a lot of us. And even like when I would go for a walk or go to yoga class or something, I would be like, oh, I should be working on my business right now. So even though I was like not even working on my business, I was like at a yoga class or something, I was like working on my business in my head. And truthfully, this will make you crazy because you never get time off of your business. And also looking at like anytime you're doing something, even if it is in your business, you're thinking like, oh, maybe I should be doing this, or I have to do this next, or I'm not doing enough, So if you can just be totally present, like slow down, breathe, and we can only do one thing at a time, and whatever you're doing is perfect. So just give it your full attention, and just be with whatever you're doing. When you're working on your business, work on your business. When you're having fun, have fun, and don't think about your business at all. Just like let it go. Like, it makes such a huge difference, I promise you. And if you start to notice this, notice when it's coming up. Awareness is like the biggest, most powerful tool to change anything in our lives. So if you're out doing fun things and you notice that you're thinking about your business stuff or something else that you should be doing, or your to-do list or whatever, notice it and then just come back to the present moment. And just being really present with the people you're with, or just being present with your breath, or really noticing, the things around you. Like being in nature, I think is awesome for being present. So something I do as much as I can. But when you actually, like, there's a big difference between going for a walk and thinking about your business the whole time, or thinking about your relationships or whatever it is, versus going for a walk and listening to the birds and like feeling the sunshine. And it's totally a different experience, and you'll notice that it's being in your head while you're walking versus coming down into your body and really like being present. So something that really helps with overwhelm, letting go of the past and the future, and just really being present with whatever it is that you're doing, and knowing that whatever it is perfect. So another one is, so when we get started, we a lot of times are looking at where we are now, and then we're looking at, okay, where do we want to go? And there's this big gap there, and we're like, holy crap, like, how am I going to make all that happen? And when you look at all of it at once, it's overwhelming. So it's really about breaking things down into little baby steps and doing one thing at a time. Because when you look at everything at once, it's just too much. And then you just get to that analysis paralysis where you end up doing nothing because you're completely overwhelmed. So just one thing at a time. Like, I like to make a really detailed list of things to do, like return so-and-so's text message, like, if I haven't, or send an email to so-and-so, write this email, or whatever it is. Like, be as little and as specific as you can, and then you can go through your list and like cross them off and really just do like one thing at a time. This makes a huge, huge difference. So the other thing is, I'm reading a book right now, and I highly recommend it to everyone because I'm not that far through it, but I think it's really good. It's The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And the big thing that he talks about is that all of the big changes that we do in our life, anything we want to do to be successful at our business, at losing weight, at being healthy, whatever it is, the thing that allows us to be successful at that is small, tiny changes consistently each day. It's not like taking this big, huge step or this big, huge leap. It's really these tiny things and just being willing to be patient with it. So it really comes down to consistency and those little decisions that we make each and every day. Like I'm deciding to, instead of surfing social media, I'm going to write my newsletter. Or instead of eating, fast food, I'm going to make myself a home-cooked meal. Like these little decisions are the things that make the biggest difference and the big change in our life. But we just have to be patient with them because it isn't taking that big, huge leap. It's taking these little steps that add up to big changes over time. So I think that's really cool because it doesn't seem as intimidating. And the other thing that he talks about is that because there's such little steps, they're really easy to do, but they're also really easy to not do. So that's the thing, like just being like, paying attention to your end goal and your why, and knowing that that's important enough to continue following through with these little things, like, and making it small, like going for a 15-minute walk a day, or, spending, consistently half an hour on your business every day, whatever it is, like picking something that's doable and being consistent with it, leads to huge changes over time. And like, is it almost guaranteed success if you are consistent with it. So definitely very cool. Check out that book. So the other thing is not having clear or concrete goals. So, and this is something that I'm good at doing because I'm not like a really great planner necessarily, and I like to be kind of like sporadic. So sometimes I have resistance to making like really concrete goals for myself. But the more that you can do this, the easier it is to work backwards from those goals and come up with a plan. So if like I want to get 3 clients this week, or not this week, this month, let's say, then like after you've been doing it for a while, you can know like, okay, so let's say 1 out of 3 clarity calls I do becomes a client. Then I know I have to have 9 clarity calls in order to get those 3 clients. And then you can kind of think about like marketing. So what do I have to do to book 9 clarity calls? And truthfully, most conversion rates are a lot better than that. So you're not going to be having to do that much to get that number of clients. But that way you can work backwards, and then you can be like, okay, let me come up with a plan to help me get to where I want that end goal to be. And this once again goes to like breaking things up into little mini steps. And so you can come up with a marketing plan that's like, I do this on Monday and I do this on Tuesday, or I'm doing, this number of things per week, or, whatever it is, but being really consistent with it and figuring out what works for you, because it's different for everyone, and what works for one person may not work for someone else. But like I said, if you come up with that end goal as far as what you really want to accomplish, then you can work backwards from it and come up with a step-by-step plan, which makes a huge difference. Let me see what else I had. Oh, so focusing on a few things that work really well for you instead of doing a little bit of everything. So you've probably heard that 80% of your results becomes from 20% of your efforts. No, what is it? So 20%, 80%, no, 20%. Anyways, what it is that you get most of your results from 20% of what you're doing. So you need to look at what is most effective for you and what is getting you the results. So if I'm out there putting out newsletters every week, or a couple of newsletters every week, and I never get any clients from that, but then I go and I give some talks in person and I get clients from that, and this is happening consistently. You can look at like, okay, I'm doing these newsletters, I'm spending time doing this, but I'm not getting any clients from it. So maybe I'm going to do them less frequently, and put more of my attention towards giving talks because I know this is working for me. So there isn't like this rule about I have to be doing newsletters, I have to be doing blogs, I have to be doing videos, all this stuff. Like, do what works for you and pay attention to what works for you and what you're getting your clients from, and then just concentrate on doing those things and doing those well, so that you're not overwhelming yourself with doing stuff that isn't even working for you. And then the last one is worrying about the results of the actions that you're taking. So we don't have control over the results. And actually, if you're looking for a good book on this, I love Leveraging the Universe by Mike Dooley, but he talks about if you split things up and you kind of draw like a line down the middle, there's the things that you do on your side, and then there's the things that the universe does on its side. You're only responsible for the things that you can do, and then the universe is responsible for the rest. So we can only do so much, and then we can't control the results. So anytime we put out marketing, like we can do the very best that we can to put out marketing, make it reach our ideal client, use copywriting that connects with our ideal client. But then from there, we have to let it go and not be attached to what comes out of it. So, like doing a post on Facebook and then like checking like 500 times, like, oh my gosh, how many likes do I have? Or is anyone responding? Or, whatever it is, like we can drive ourselves crazy with that. And I'm guilty of doing all these things too. But not taking anything personally, not being caught up in what the results are, and just being like, okay, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to let it go. And whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to take it personally. And if it doesn't work, I'll try something else, or try it again, or try it another time. It's the more you can just like let that go and not get caught up in it, the better. And it really helps with not feeling so overwhelmed too, because that comes from like trying to control what's going to happen, and we can't. So we can control the actions we take on our side, but we can't control the results. So I find when you can let that go, like you're giving responsibility over to the universe, so then you don't have to be holding on to that piece anymore. And so that's one less thing that can lead to your overwhelm. So those are the tips I have for you. I hope you found them helpful. Let me know in the comments if any of them are especially helpful to you, or if you do any of them and are they helpful, or what do you find most helpful, anything that I skipped. And if you are starting a business, or working on starting a business, or growing your business, and you're feeling overwhelmed, like I love to help people with this. I love to help you like figure out a plan step by step. What can you do? Make it really specific for you and what you're really good at, so that you're not wasting your time and energy doing all these random things that aren't necessarily helping you move forward. So if you want help, I'd be happy to set up a time where we can talk about that. So just send me a comment below, or send me a message, and we can chat about that. So I hope you guys are having an amazing Thursday, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.